tough. Yep.
Thanks. Good evening. It's a minute or two after 7 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. If anyone is recording, would they please make it known? Just going through some. Got more correspondence here from surrounding towns. Anything else? In preliminary business, you'll see 3 invoices to be addressed. I know previously it authorized me to sign off on the invoices. There's been some changes in the practice, so there's 2 things. One is to have the majority sign off on these particular invoices as soon as I can locate them. And the other would be to reaffirm the vote to authorize me to sign off, authorize someone to sign off on the invoices.
Okay.
But I'm not finding them in my packet yet. Well, I'm double checking things. If you could review the minutes of November 10th, 2014, and see if we can fill in any of those blanks.
Say it again.
Wasn't here, I can't look.
Paul. He's the end of the...
Yeah. Just need to take a look, maybe look it up. Let's see if I can find it.
anyone able to fill in any of those? Because we had a full board that night. I'm going blank on Paul's last name for the 96 LLC.
Let's see if I can look it up now for you.
Is it Grady? No.
No, not in a minute.
And on the
It'll come when we walk out the door.
public hearing for Eleanor Estates, an emergency flow plan was presented. Do you remember what that was? Do you have your notes? Did you turn them in?
I gave them. I put them in my package.
His website's not working.
On the line on Ben Sutter, the deeded right away across the property?
It's across the property from his property to Cliff's Way. He has the right to walk that property to go down to the water. But it doesn't seem to be it's one of those,
It's not fixed,
it's not fixed, right?
Floating.
It's floating. And he didn't present it to us in writing, he stated it, so.
Emerald.
No, that was Glenn.
Without watching YouTube, I guess I won't know the
Emerald. I'm trying to-
time of adjournment.
Grady.
Well, it was 3 hours and 6 minutes was the taping. So you could figure that out, maybe.
So we could 10:06.
10:06 works.
Bob White, were you aware that the meetings end up on YouTube?
Yes,
Are you responsible for that?
no,
So is that all we have on the minutes of the 10th?
So far.
Okay. I
It's
have
been
three.
3 hours listening to the.
I have 3 WB Mason invoices. One for $22.76, one for $20.50, and one for $66.98.
Move we approve the invoices?
Second.
Can we have an item breakdown on them, please?
Any discussion?
Can we have an item breakdown?
Yes, you can have 2 monthly planners,
Oh, that's good, okay.
2 storage boxes, must be 2 cases of storage boxes, and audio cassettes.
Audio cassettes?
Yeah. Must be for the Board of Appeals of Conservation.
I thought the recorder was broke. Or stockpiling cassettes, so when we do get a recorder?
They're gonna be collector's items. Hearing no more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Just sign the back of it there. I also have an invoice from Charles L. Rowley for work in conjunction with the Dollar General out of the 53G account. It's $522.50.
Move we approve?
second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Do we have to move to authorize the chairman to sign invoices in the future?
That would be helpful. Was that a motion?
I think that.
Second.
Can I be opposed? Anyway, any discussion on that? No? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
You guys want to sign this too? You can, there's a majority there. All right. First up is a public hearing for Griffith Estates, care of Malcolm McKenzie. I was just going through that.
Mr. Chairman, on the minutes, George, on the minutes, it is, okay, I thought there was a change on it, I'm sorry.
I'm not seeing any abutter notifications. Do you know
Do I have to
that?
say
You
that?
don't have to.
It was a part of the process that the information I provided in the application, so.
I have an abutters list, but I don't have any green cards. So,
There's no minutes on file.
Hmm?
There's three sets of minutes on file for the planning board for 2014 only. That's a problem.
so you didn't mail out notices, you must have relied on the town hall to mail them out?
I wasn't informed by David that I was to mail them out. He asked me to provide the list. You have that, I understand?
Yep.
Yeah.
Apparently the notifications,
Don't you have to go to the town clerk to mail this out?
well, no, they went to the town clerk and got his abutters list.
Right.
We were supposed to do. But apparently the notifications didn't get mailed out at town hall.
Did you pay a fee to do that?
Yes.
If they did, they didn't make it into the packet. Make sure I'm not missing them anywhere. It's just the. So without that, I will have to open the meeting and continue it. If they didn't go out, then, if they did go out and they're just not here, we can continue. If they didn't go out, then
You can't even open it.
When I called him late last week to find out what the status of the project was, he said that I was scheduled on the agenda tonight, and wasn't I notified? Well, to my knowledge, I wasn't notified, but he still affirmed that.
yeah,
in
you were
other
on
words,
the agenda
yeah.
and the advertising went out,
Yeah,
but we have no receipt of the abutter notifications.
yeah.
Is there anybody here? Any abutters here?
No, What'd you find, extra bodies?
That was Ghost.
Ghosts?
Well,
Charlie Raleigh joke? Was that a Charlie Raleigh joke? The ghosts?
Must be,
Well, the cemetery's right next door, so.
I know, oh.
but they're all over the plane.
I don't think there's any way we can get hold of anybody.
We put it on the agenda for 2 weeks until we get these things mailed out.
Does it require another notification?
It may have to. Because we can't technically open a hearing, because,
Right.
well, we could open it and not take any testimony, right? Because it has been advertised. yield to the legal counsel on that one?
Can you open it? Can you open the meeting without being-
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
No citizen
We
here.
could make it legally.
Right.
If you open it and your butters weren't notified, you don't have to notify, they won't be notified on the second meeting on the continuance.
Right.
Why don't you just move to continue this matter on the agenda pending verification of the
Legal notifications.
proper notification
Mm-hmm.
to it, whereas, and so forth.
Normally, we wouldn't open the hearing in the first place if there was any question, but it has been properly advertised, so
Who's handling the paperwork now, Judge? Dave?
Dave and Kelly,
Call her up. No? I'm looking at Mr. Slavin over there.
Get out of the way.
How's your brother doing?
Do you even have
Good.
to open it? Can you just continue the matter of Griffin Estates?
Yeah, because obviously, there's nobody here to tell them
Yeah.
to. If they get a notification of the correct date. That's what we'll have to do. We'll have to continue to the 26th and confirm that notification has taken place, and if it hasn't, make sure it does prior to that meeting.
Will that require my return from Southern Rhode Island, or is there anything we can accomplish tonight that, no?
Where you're basically just renewing a existing,
Understand.
I don't know that your presence would be required. I don't know
No.
if one of your abutters would have questions, that would be,
Mhm.
And a question about the roadway width, I don't know.
Right.
That could be an issue.
I don't wanna start testimony now without the.
No, I'm just saying, to say not to come and then,
Yeah,
You sit
that's what I
and
say,
say-
I,
you know, our roadway width is so more, and then he's not here to.
We would suggest you come so that you
Thank
can
you.
answer
All right.
questions.
Thank you.
or if you have someone that's closer and familiar with the process, then. Apologize for that, but anyway, I would look for a motion to continue, I guess.
Continue the matter regarding Griffin Estates
Griffith,
pending
I think.
verification that notification was properly given.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Yep.
Opposed? Abstained?
By this action, does any responsibility lie with me at this point that you're aware of?
No,
All
no.
right, this will be handled through Dave,
Mhm.
one way or the other.
All right,
Very good.
and he has all your contact information, I'll have him
Yep.
keep you informed.
Thank you.
That's a crime.
Next
I would
is,
think that would be something that should be handled by the town administrator to hire some staff.
We are working on it now. We're gonna put someone else in the office to, we can't wait for Brenda to replace my.
Wait
office.
for her.
But anyway, technically, because of you and stuff, you can't.
next is
We're gonna go ahead and do it.
this is not technically a continued public hearing, but, it's a Form A for Duggan Marine Realty, care of Frank Westgate. Oh,
Have to wait, David. Thank you for coming in, David.
Where did he come from?
Cemetery.
Have some issues.
you have some new plans for us?
Should be there.
Which
What's that? Is that Griffith Estates?
That's Griffith, yeah.
We put that with this one.
I made the corrections and additions that you, as a board, suggested. I ran them by David, planning, at the planner's office.
That's kind of a locust map there.
It's all the land up behind the cemetery.
I got one thing for you, Alan, wait a minute, it's coming.
Locust map there.
Oh, the original subdivision.
Reduced version?
Anyone you need?
Yeah, we're good. Sorry about that.
Same thing.
Yeah, it's a smaller version.
It's gotta be 50.
Hmm?
Guy's 87. What the original date? That's the new one.
What's he trying to do? What's he trying to do?
This, okay. This portion here, the pink,
Mm-hmm.
is owned by the same people,
Yeah.
and they wanna create a parcel, I believe, of this guy, where the dwelling is, on these two lots here. 64 and 65, right now is where the house,
65
bridge
has,
is on tour,
65 has a house.
64 and 65,
Yeah.
it's on both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna cut this back piece, the 101,
Mm.
or 11001, we'll cut it in half and transfer this parcel here to this owner over here on the end, the marina. So the marina's gonna take possession of this parcel here.
He's gonna take parcel A and parcel B.
See what?
And then he's gonna take ownership of these two parcels. Yes. Oh, I must have known that. That's what it says. Lower left.
So the purpose is to cut off parcel A and deed it to Duggan Marine Realty,
Right, who is the abutter on the south side, yes.
who will acquire parcel B as well
Yes.
with
without-
access to the creek.
Righto.
And then will they try to convert it to commercial use?
I couldn't
Are
hear
they
that.
trying to convert that parcel A to commercial use
It's all marshland.
and parcel B,
Possibly that's a dwelling.
but there's a residence on it now?
Right.
And would they leave the residence and it would be a residence, or are they trying to convert it to commercial
No,
use?
it'll remain a dwelling.
There's one interesting thing,
This is upland here, though.
See what?
There's upland right in here. This is upland here, though.
Right.
let me just read that.
They have access to the creek, but if this is salt marsh, they can't do anything in here.
That's right. So the applicant has no intention of using the salt marsh or the creek, or
No,
they're just gonna leave it as a house and some open space?
right, the dwelling will remain, and you'll have access to the creek probably for recreation purposes.
Just for the dwelling?
Pardon?
Just for that dwelling?
Well, no, because he'll own the whole thing. Okay, the commercial land is to the southeast where it says Dugan Marine Realty Lot 1002.
Yes, sir.
That's commercial. I have no idea really what his long-range plan is, but that dwelling will remain. I think he's going to live there. His
Okay.
shop is across the street.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's gonna move in there.
okay.
And if he does intend to do anything, of course, we'd have to go before Concom. That would be a whole new
Right,
application.
correct. My concern is that his intent would be to change it to commercial use, and, I'm not, it would be nice to hear from the abutters before you decide on that.
Well, that,
There's-
would you say that would be subject to a whole nother,
Well, the thing is, there's two separate people here that are conveying this two pieces of property.
It was all owned by one gentleman. He conveyed the dwelling, parcel B, to his wife. He conveyed the lots to the left, Jane Marine Lynch, that's his daughter. And then he happened to convey the backland, which is all marsh, to the daughter. He could have conveyed it to the wife.
Yeah.
But it didn't really matter. So that's what we're dividing. I probably could have done this plan without even showing the dwelling, parcel B. I could have just shown division of that lot. But because we're setting forth an access easement for his daughter, it was wise to show the whole thing, let it all come in together.
I see.
And then we put on the disclaimer that George suggested. And in the title, George had noticed that we made an error. And it turned out that that was not an error, it was an error on the plan.
on which,
Remember that? You know, it was lot 1,000. We should have.
oh, the way it was labeled?
Yeah, it was a plan that was in error, it was lot 1001. And when I labeled those lots 1001 and 1001A, I got that from the assessor. I always check with the assessors before I label the lot numbers.
Mhm.
What else was it? And then you got a copy of the assessor map that shows a whole locus.
Yeah.
We have that.
So from the assessor's map and this plan you have here, lot 1001A is being created now.
Lot 1,000, no, that 1,001 currently exists, and we're cutting that basically in half.
So it should, okay. So they took this lot,
No,
cut it in half.
yeah, he's creating 1001A.
Correct.
That's what I just said.
No, 1,000 is the way he's labeled it.
Yeah, he's correct, he's creating
That's what the original lot was. It's becoming 1001A,
one. Yep.
which is parcel A.
Correct.
That's what I said.
Yep.
Okay.
See, on the original plan, George, you noticed the error, I had that labeled 1,000 and 1,000A, and that was in error.
Oh.
We
Yeah.
thought the error was in the title.
Mhm.
It wasn't, it was on the plan, so it's okay now.
But you've moved that lot line between 1,000, the original 1,000, 1,001, you've moved that lot line.
No, you're not even close, Mike. The lot line they're creating is right here.
Right.
It's right across here.
Right.
He's creating this lot here,
Right.
or this parcel, he's taken out of here.
Right.
1,000, zero, got nothing to do with it,
Right.
okay? And the easement's coming right across the back of this property right here.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, it goes like this and then it goes across.
Yep.
This is like a fish mouth that comes in here.
Oh.
What's that, the creek that cuts into the marsh? I'm looking at this plan here, referring to this guy here.
Yep.
Looks like a little scrotum.
And by cutting that lot in half, does lot 1,001 still satisfy the requirements of a lot?
I put a disclaimer under where you're gonna be signing it. And that's normally what we do. This is really the simplest of all the Form As, because we're not creating any lots.
Is there a residence on lot 1,001?
No, that's all,
What?
it's all
So-
marshland.
Okay.
Marshland and creek.
Okay.
It'll never be built on.
There is a residence on lot 1,000, all right?
No. 1,000?
The land owned by Jane Marie Lynch doesn't have a residence on it?
There's a dwelling on that, right, those are 4 lots, 160 through 163. It's shown, even though it's shown on the map as 4, the assessors have it as 1 lot,
Yeah.
one
But
dwelling.
there is a residence.
There is, that's the daughter.
It's all upland. This is all upland,
Right.
that's why.
The other thing I did, I put the hash marks along that marsh line, so it's pretty obvious what we're looking at.
Who's the easement going to? Which lot? You have an easement access across the back of parcel B?
Take a wild guess.
Gee,
It's going to the dwelling to the left, on the west side.
Jane?
That'll all be contained in the deed. And the reason for it is because that's wooded through there. We'd have had to take down a few trees, and we didn't want to have to do that to get her out to the creek.
Yep.
So it was a good move.
So how does Jane Marie Lynch get to the creek now?
Well, it's her dad that owns the whole thing, so she just walks up there right now.
Walks where?
Well,
From her lot?
yeah, she owns the 4 lots, right? The dwelling is mostly on lot 163. She just walks right out there. She walks right across her dad's property.
But this shows that's marshland.
You know, she walks across her dad's property, which is parcel B. The upland, see the upland?
Okay.
Yeah, that's how she gets there now.
You know what's confusing here is, I think it would have been a little bit clearer if the dwelling was shown
Jane's lot.
on Jane's lot, the lot to the left.
Well, I could have gone overboard here, but I showed probably more than I normally would have shown for an A&R plan. Okay.
So obviously the creek is more navigable over here, is that?
Yeah, it's you see where the upland line is,
Yeah.
the hash mark line?
Mm-hmm.
Well, currently, there's a little wooden, it's fallen down and broken, there's a little dock there, like a little pier, man-made. And they currently get to it. I've never seen them use it, but that was the only logical way they could get to it, was go through the backyard of the dwelling and walk out there. So we set forth the easement so that they can continue to do that.
I'm a little curious why this notation, rights to utilization of the entire creek area for boating and recreation purposes are reserved to both grantor, grantee, in
Oh.
common
What the hell you
with
Oh, yeah, but-
others that may be entitled.
You're looking at the old plan, George.
But what was that ever put there for?
Well, that's gonna be in the deed. Thought that would answer
It's not
some
on that
question.
shop.
I was trying to help out the lawyer that's writing the deed, but we took that off.
So based upon your survey, you're saying that none of the upland that is behind parcel B, none of that is contiguous
This is
with
landlocked. This is
Jane Marie Lynch's property?
It's unbuildable.
I'm not quite sure I follow you.
Well, she has some property which is upland,
Right.
and then there's a portion of a property in the rear
Right.
is upland.
Yes.
And you're saying those two upland pieces are not contiguous?
Of course they are, yeah. They are contiguous. Yeah. Yeah. Right now they are.
Well, under the zoning bylaw, you have to have 24,000 square feet of upland, and you're reducing that.
Well, we went round and round with this before,
Yeah,
and that's why we put that waiver, or that disclaimer under the planning board endorsement.
well, actually,
Because-
there are 4 waivers that are supposed to be on there, but I only see 1.
Well,
And whatever you put on there, if this division creates a zoning violation, you think the
See if I
board
can-
should
see if I
sign
can-
it even though it's a violation of the zoning bylaw?
there's no violation. Let me see if I can explain this better. The dad owned the whole thing, all 4 parcels. Can you see that? At one time, and so recently, really. Conveyed that dwelling on parcel B to the wife. Conveyed the lots on the left, 4 lots that is 1 lot really, okay, and with a dwelling, conveyed that to the daughter. Now, in the back, lot 1001, he could have conveyed it either way, or he could have kept it. He happened to convey it to the daughter. So you're saying that because he conveyed it to her, now she can't cut it in half without violating zoning. I don't agree with that. And the bottom line is that it's up to the zoning, it's up to the building inspector to enforce any kind of zoning. We're not looking to build anything. There's no violation here. There never will be.
Well, she's got a house on a lot,
Yep.
and it has sufficient upland, and now you're taking away that upland. And so the
No, we're
lot
not.
now is, got
No.
a house on it and it's not comply with zoning.
No, we're not taking away any upland at all.
Yeah, this is all upland I'm looking at.
Which lot are you looking at?
Parcel A, isn't she conveying parcel A?
Right,
That has uplands on it.
right.
But she only has, she's supposed to have 24,000 square feet, she only has 18,000.
Which lot are
Remaining.
you looking at? Parcel A?
No, I'm looking at the Jane Marie Lynch parcel.
Okay, that's grandfathered in. Okay,
Well,
those lots were approved back in the 50s.
Well, that's
in the
fine,
late
but
40s.
once she got additional property adjoining it,
It's not grandfathered in.
she now has a larger piece and she's cutting it back. I mean, just because you have a smaller piece doesn't mean when you get extra land, it's not now,
Well,
now is what she has.
let me ask you this question. Let's say that
Sure.
Jane Marie Lynch never got title to that back marshland. Okay? Let's say the dad kept all that back marshland and never conveyed it to her.
Yep.
Do you saying, would it be all right to cut it in half then?
She doesn't own it, so doesn't
No,
have
but
anything
if
to
he
do with it.
did, I'm saying to you, this is how ridiculous your argument is.
It's not,
We're
I'm not
not-
being ridiculous on an argument, I'm saying, I'm looking at the zoning bylaw. And maybe they shouldn't have conveyed to her, but they did.
Did you get a look at, did Dave show you that letter that I wrote?
Yes, I see some.
My client is tearing his hair out. This thing was submitted 6 weeks ago. It's probably the simplest of any of the Form As you're ever gonna be looking at. no new lots are being created. You don't have to worry. If you really look at section 81P and 81L, it tells you exactly what you should be looking at. And what you're bringing up does not conform to anything that they've written in the bylaw. I mean, in chapter 41. What I should have done, I should have brought the application down to the town clerk myself, but I left it up to Dave to do it. I don't know whether he did it. If I had done that, we could get this thing by default. I don't like to do that, okay? This is a very definite A&R plan. There shouldn't even be any discussion. I'm gonna ask that the board take a vote on this, and then if you reject it, I'll have to come down with my lawyer.
The action,
With my attorney's lawyer, rather, but boy, he's gonna be going through the roof. This is ridiculous.
the action that it does take away some upland from that lot, but it adds upland to the other lots. So I don't know if you have offsetting penalties.
I'm just saying.
It has nothing to do with zoning.
Mhm.
Doesn't
No
permit you to
lots are being
reduce the
created.
uplands on a lot.
That's not,
Well, George, I guess we have two choices here. We can either rubber stamp it or we can deny it.
You also don't have the 4 paragraphs that are required.
No, I've made my last revision. No, I'll ask you to take an up or down vote on the thing.
Entertain a motion, George?
I thought, George, when I left here last time, you made a list of the items that you wanted. I said, write down what you want me to do so we can get this thing signed. You wrote them down, you sent them to David, I got the list from David, and I made the corrections.
Well, the first thing on the list was to add the disclaimers, and,
Yeah, that's right there.
but that's not all of them, there was.
Well, pretty, I've never, some of them are even less wordage than that for a disclaimer.
Mhm.
That's, that should encompass the whole thing.
Show the letter, the tax collector document is
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah, you should have that.
You're gonna have to ante up 56 cents, but you're short.
Pardon? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You're short 56 cents.
Oh, really? For what? Oh, I see.
Uh,
%95 of yours, what we used to call Form As, for the creation of lots, frontage lots, in a suitable way with sufficient access, all right? And that's what the Form As, that's what this was supposed to be when they wrote it. I knew the professor that wrote the damn general law on that, Professor Baird, and he struggled, and that was strictly 95% of these are for Form A, for frontage lots, creating lots. We're not creating any lots, all right? And we're not taking away from any lot that makes it so it doesn't conform to zoning, because it never conformed to zoning to begin with.
In your letter, you quoted the whole,
what zone is
Yeah.
this in?
is there any specific
What zone
paragraph
is this
you're
in?
quoting, or
What zone is this, or what?
any particular
Didn't
case?
I thought I redlined a couple that I wanted you to look at.
I don't see anything here.
Basically, what it says, that you shouldn't even be concerned with zoning.
Do you know what year, Mr. Lynch, I assume his name is Mr. Lynch, deeded the lots to his daughter Jane?
That's correct.
What year?
Pardon?
What year?
Oh, it's very recent. It's
Like-
quite recent, within the last couple of years, my memory. The other lot, It wasn't, what is his name? I can't think of his name now, because he's not involved anymore. But parcel B is going to his wife, so his name was Johnson, that's his name, yeah, Johnson. I thought I shaded in those paragraphs, George, that were pertinent to what,
Well, unless he made a copy of it and lost the shading.
well, that's what happened then. I didn't bring it with me.
That was one of the most sleazy things that I've ever seen before. This is, it's more confusing than it was before.
If it requires the upland, then we really shouldn't. How many square feet of upland did he remove?
The care, what you should be looking for is that we're not creating any illegal lots to be built on. That's the definition of a lot, under the general laws.
I think
We're
the
not creating-
question at hand is, Miss Lynch's lot, previous to separating them,
Yeah,
how much upland did she have previously, and and we can see what she's remaining with, but, I think there's some confusion there, because if she previously met zoning requirements of upland, and now you've separated her lot, so she no longer meets them, then,
yeah,
then there's an adverse,
yeah, I see your concern, but, it never conformed to zoning. It might have way back in 1948 before zoning ever came in,
yeah.
okay? But it's grandfathered in, of course, no matter how big it is, all right? And as you can see, those hash marks, it's actually when Sam Course laid the thing out back in 1948, he went by that upland. That's what that line signifies in the rear. Can you see the hash marks?
Were lots 160, 161, 162, 163, and the back land owned by Jane Lynch, all one lot at one time?
No, never,
Never.
never. When he conveyed it, the deed has two parcels in it. One parcel is those lots you cited, where the dwelling is, and then the second parcel is lot 1001, that goes all the way out to the Weebianic.
But they were contiguous and they were owned by the same person.
Right on. Now, he could have deeded it to the wife. It didn't matter what he did, but he's not well, so he wanted to get it out of his name.
Well, she owns, the lot now that she owns, that whole parcel is a conforming parcel.
You think it's a conforming parcel?
The one she owns now, well, she's got 18,000 plus 24,000 in the back, and then she's got additional upland.
Okay,
It's
so
on
then,
lot 1001A, which it appears to be enough to give her the compliance with the zoning bylaw.
yeah, but it's not,
It's her
you know,
land.
you're saying that she can't divide the thing, right? You're saying we gotta come in and build a road and go through a subdivision for her to do this? Is that what you're saying?
All I'm saying is I think her lot is now a conforming lot. She has she has all of this land she owns, it's all contiguous, it conforms to zoning, and
Okay.
she's trying to chop off some upland, so she now doesn't conform to zoning.
Well-
That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's why we put the disclaimer in there, and if you guys can take the time, you guys can get copies of that missile that I wrote. You might learn something about Form A plans. I can't wait around too much longer, I'm sorry. We've got a big football game on tonight. Can you please put this up for a vote, Judge?
And you don't have the required disclaimers.
Entertain a motion, Judge?
I would.
Denied for lack of information. And Mr. Westgate said he'll come back with his attorney, we were about it then.
When I came back this time, I came back with what I thought we all agreed with, that I was gonna put on here and get the endorsement. I thought I'd be out of here by now. Well, didn't we make that agreement? I mean,
I don't know if you didn't get all the disclaimers that were supposed to go on there, whether they were intended to you or what the situation was, but,
You don't think that disclaimer gets you off the hook?
you're asking us to endorse something to say that it may not be endorsable.
What you're saying is that approval under the subdivision control law is not required, and it is not required. You've got two choices. Either you gotta go through the subdivision control law, or you don't. All right? We're not creating any lots, so frontage and area doesn't come into play here.
But you're adversely affecting a currently acceptable lot.
You're adversely affecting what?
A currently acceptable lot by zoning, if you're taking away the upland so it no longer qualifies.
We're not taking away,
You're taking
The
Jane
upland-
Marie Lynch's
if
land.
you
and
look, the
making it-
upland isn't contiguous anyway. The upland isn't contiguous.
Well,
If you take a close look at it, the upland
I
meets
just asked you if it was contiguous, you said yes.
well, it
What you-
was before you, I think before the line was put there, wasn't it? If Miss Lynch owned 160 through 163, and she also owned lot 1001,
Yeah,
that made it contiguous. And now by putting the lot line where you put it, you've cut off most of the upland on the, well, on parcel A, which used to be lot 1001 A, I guess.
I'm gonna suggest to my client's lawyer that he do this by deed. Once he's done it by deed, then we'll draw the plan and we'll record the plan. But meanwhile, I'm gonna have to ask you to take a up and down vote. Can you do that?
Josh, you made a motion.
You made a motion, I didn't hear a second.
Second. This was a motion to deny, but, good, second.
I didn't hear that motion.
Motion to deny for lack of information.
Okay, will somebody, before you vote on this, will somebody make a motion that you set down in writing the exact information that you want on this? Because we've got the right to come back.
No, we got a motion on the floor. We can't modify the motion because you want us to modify it. We got a vote, we got a second on my motion.
Well, that's a pretty loose motion, in my book.
Well, in your opinion.
Look, motion to deny, I don't think we have to give a reason to deny it. We've talked about this at length. Anyway, I second.
Anyway, any further discussion?
Nope.
All in favor of the motion to deny?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Didn't hear anything, John? Oh, okay. If you want, I can have Dave forward you all the disclaimers that are supposed to go on that landscape.
All right, let me ask the question. You forward the disclaimers, however many there might be, to David. I put them on the plan. Now then what? What's the next step? We can't make another submission. Why can't we continue this? No, you've already voted. You've already
you-
You told us
asked-
you wanted to vote, you're gonna come with your lawyer, and now you want to reconsider.
This is yours. Just leave this. That yours? Oh, that's yours. Originally, my last there. Here's your subdivision.
I expect somebody's gonna notify me as to why it's denied, okay?
Is that? Want me to keep this in the file? Oh, you will.
Yeah, please. I've been doing Form A plans, that's what we call them, way back in the day. I've been doing them for 60 years. This is the first time I've run into anything like this. It's absolutely ridiculous. Maybe you guys ought to read that literature that I sent, okay, and you learn something about Form As.
Well, that's why I asked you what you were quoting, because
Well,
what I
there's
was,
so many of them there. See,
what I was looking at was frontage requirements and things of that nature.
There's a whole bunch of them, and I outlined them, I redlined them for David. And I didn't bring them with me, okay?
But from what we can see, you're making her property less conforming by this action. That's the major concern we have. You're making it, right now it conforms to the zoning
No, it
bylaws.
doesn't. Doesn't conform to zoning.
I just copied,
Way back.
I just copied.
There was a subdivision built on,
Basically, and something.
Allen Brook.
Subdivision
Okay.
bylaws.
That was his subdivision. Prior to, I got on the board, road was approved, there was no, conservation taken care of, whatever, it was totally rubber stamped by this gentleman.
No, no,
Okay.
mine.
And it turned out to be a total
Not that
disaster.
excited
The
about it.
islands in the road and this and that. You know, it's a shame that we sit on the board as a volunteer and we don't have to take bullying from a gentleman like that.
I just, that's why I'm throwing them out immediately.
Well,
I
we
was
have to
just
be,
curious, is he an engineer or an
Yeah.
attorney?
It's just a bit.
Oh, he's a
Survey.
surveyor.
Yeah.
Okay.
and the thing
You
is,
know, I can see what they're trying to do, is, you know, and it's marshland, you can't do anything with it, but like you say, it does
Yeah, I mean-
make it, so maybe it's a better fit at the Board of Appeals.
I don't have a problem, you know, looking at it just sort of generally as, but technically, it doesn't conform to zoning. And I guess I don't like to be lectured.
So on R30, they require 24,000 square feet of upland.
80% of the
80% of the
minimum
lot has to
zoning
be-
And where,
requirement.
Minimum is
and where
30,000.
the front lots didn't meet that requirement and she owned the land contiguous to it, it automatically
Now
applies.
she, yeah, it's not a question of lots, and that's what she owns. She owns this big parcel of land
right.
that's contiguous and
some-
conforms to zoning.
Something that was mentioned the first time also when he was here, on that cluster lot where Miss Lynch's house is, the dwelling was not shown and it's still not shown.
The dwelling was supposed to be
It's
shown on the
supposed to be
plan.
shown and
What
the
was?
dwellings on properties around it.
The dwellings?
The
Yeah.
dwelling's supposed to be shown, they're supposed to be on there.
Yeah.
And we mentioned it the first time, but like I said, the gentleman just didn't want
Yeah, I
it.
thought of that, Michael, and
Well,
Since,
I forgot to mention it, but yeah.
since the subject of decisions came up, that two-lot subdivision on Hathaway that was denied
Yes, because of
is
frontage.
seeking a constructive approval because a decision was not filed.
GAF, Halfway Road next to Tim's Point.
Yeah.
Halfway.
I thought he withdrew that and gave us a different plan that we did approve.
That's correct.
Did they come back with another one?
Yeah, and we signed it.
We approved it.
Okay, am I confusing that with something else?
No, I think he might have,
You're thinking Eleanor Estates, they came back with a different plan.
no.
Agreed.
No, I
No.
just read the meetings minutes. I have it here. You're talking about Paul from GAF on the
Yeah.
road, the dirt road that we went to on the rainy day?
No, that was
No.
Squirrel Island.
Oh,
That was
which one are you talking
That's
about?
when, they're talking
We're
about
talking
on County.
off of Hathaway Street. There was a
30,
parcel of land owned by John Beaton.
Mm.
There was 30 feet shy on one lot, they were open
Yes.
paper street on one side.
Yes,
Who's
Can
supposed,
you get a constructive approval?
who's supposed to file?
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of Squirrel Island.
Just thinking of
Yeah.
Squirrel Island.
no,
Yes.
this was the other one that we didn't approve. It was Paul again.
With Bill Madden.
It was Bill. Yep, it
Bill
was
brought
Bill.
that one in, right.
That's correct.
Again, who's supposed to file? Planning board?
Well, yeah,
David?
well, in absence of a planning department, we should.
Well, he's been officially
We should have got together.
titled as a planner.
Yeah. I'll take some responsibility there too, because usually I've been writing them, but that one completely slipped my mind.
What was the problem on it? I don't remember.
They didn't have frontage.
He was trying to make, there was a garage on,
He was trying to
there was
do
a
a,
paper road, and there was a garage built on the paper road, so he was trying to make frontage next to a garage on the back side of the lot.
no, that's a different
No,
one.
no.
He was just trying to, make a paper street.
Riverbank took quite a bit of the lot, so the frontage for, to create the two lots, you was 30 feet shy, so they were gonna put a paper street in on the far lot, on Hathaway Road. And the thing is, the frontage was shy by 30 feet.
Right.
That's a lot, you know. I think Mike's comment was, if it was 5, 10
Well,
feet, you know, it's a small amount, you know, you can make a
That's
little
when-
concession, but 30 feet,
That's when the engineer wasn't really very, I'm not gonna say truthful, but he wasn't very upfront with real information as far as distances. He told us initially it was within 8 or 10 feet, it was some small number, and I think we were all leaning towards it.
30
And
feet.
then after I reviewed the plan and counted up the feet, it turned out to be quite a bit less than he had told us it was.
Mhm.
And so, not that he was being deceitful, maybe he was just wrong, made a mistake, but he wasn't giving us good information.
And,
It was a good decision.
and the two lots are consistent with that whole street. It's just that foolish change in the riverfront area that adversely affected this lot.
Well, they still didn't have the frontage, the two lots.
No, but they could have made the frontage, I think, if they,
Well, they could have put the road in a different position possibly.
yeah, they could have done a common driveway or something like that.
So, I don't understand what the confusion is at this point. Because the planning board didn't have somebody to file
I did
that,
I don't think I was.
they are doing what?
Looking for a constructive grant,
Because
because it's just like not giving somebody a decision in time. So automatically, whatever they apply for, they get it. God bless.
There are some particulars, I mean, with the constructive grant, you can hold them to the letter
Didn't we
of
deny
their
that?
submitted plan. We denied it,
So, what more
but
do you
we
need?
had to follow up the denial with a written decision.
And we don't have anybody doing that, of course.
No.
Just making me crazy.
Just shoot me.
I mean,
So
at least it's not a
Who's supposed to
catastrophic one.
notify the town clerk?
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
but it's just wrong.
Brown Street was a good example of,
I don't think that grants them the waivers, though.
whatever they asked for.
I don't think it grants them waivers. They have to build it according to the subdivision control law, I believe.
Well,
So they'd have to build that roadway.
Could be. Does the board want to write a letter to the town administrator asking that Brenda Sampson's position be filled because of time gone by, because you guys aren't functioning at all?
has she
And the
resigned
town also
officially,
hired-
or?
She's not, I can't say she's coming back or not. The bottom line is, it's been way too long.
Would you happen to know, has the town administrator spoken to her, what's the status?
She's on medical leave, and it's a union, so there's no discussion until,
Okay, well, no, all right, so she's on medical leave, so
Yeah.
I'm sure eventually she can tell you, yay or nay, of coming or not. I guess you gotta ask her, union or no union.
What is the medical leave?
Post her job
She hurt
without
her
it, it
back,
could be going the other.
I mean, even if you just brought a temp in,
Sure, yeah.
I think
it would be helpful.
there's a time issue and everything else at this point. And the other thing is, do you want to go ahead and include in the letter that you'd like to see a town plan or somebody put in place? Because David's obviously, either through time or whatever, can't handle it. I mean,
Right.
Well, we got
there's three
2 minutes
issues,
today.
in a very small agenda, there's 3 issues coming out of the office not done right.
Right. Well, it's just too much work.
There was a couple issues at the conservation last week.
I mean, I think
It's just not working.
He's doing both, Alan?
Well, technically, he's doing both of them, plus he's probably falling over into a little bit of the ZBA stuff, too.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, he's agreed to do the planner's job. He should be here at these meetings. But how do you ask him to be here if they haven't compensated as paid enough. I have no idea whether they have or not.
Mhm.
It's a very touchy situation, but it's not working for anybody. It gets embarrassing when someone says something's supposed to be done, it isn't done, and you have no answer.
Well, if you look at it from the other point, if you say compensate his pay, I don't think the pay is the issue. I think he's just, his cat's overloaded.
Right.
I'm
How
gonna
much time can I put in?
unofficially disagree.
Pardon?
I'm gonna unofficially disagree.
Mr. Chairman, if I could put together a rough draft of a letter if you wish and send it to you for review and approval.
I can discuss it if you get it in this Thursday when town council is there to bring it up. Because I think something needs to be done. It's not fair to the planning board.
Right.
It really isn't.
Um,
It's not fair,
Why would it
it's
go
not,
to,
it's not fair to the people coming
It's
before.
not fair to the applicants.
why would it go to town council?
He'll be there in case they have any questions
Oh,
about
okay.
the situation, they can answer some things.
I think we
We
should
need
go
to
to,
get a resolution, I
I
think.
think we should go to Seattle
Me too, but nobody's paying you for it, so go ahead.
in search of a town planner.
No.
So, on these Form A plans, we have to notify the clerk that it was denied.
I have notes. I mean, I've been given, every meeting I've been, I've given notes.
Just so you know also, I went and looked up on the
To the
town
town
website
clerk.
for the planning board.
Mhm.
For 2014, you've got 3 sets of minutes total on the town website. That's a real problem.
Well, yeah, the problem is not only do we not have support staff, but we have a $20 machine, recording machine that broke a year ago,
I know,
and
but
the
it's,
town can't spend $25 to
but
replace
no,
it.
it doesn't matter, because
We
as
just
long,
bought
as
the
long as
tape.
Bob has been recording, every one of those meetings on a disc, what they do is they put the disc in, like they do at the selectman's office, and someone would sit there, it's actually easier, they sit there, because the machine's available, and they transcribe. So you can't use that as an excuse for a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, we are recorded, we're not.
Yeah, I know, but we have nobody to,
That's what I'm trying to get at. We need to get the person back in that does this.
Looking for
Kelly
a
only,
job?
Kelly only works from like 8:30 in the morning till 12, that's what, she's part-time. And
Right.
she's assigned to the finance committee, and she helps out. You're asking her to go way above what time she has available. It's gone on too long for you guys, I just think it's crazy. We'll probably end up getting sued somewhere legitimate because we do work. So, I'm more than happy to stick my neck out.
I'll do that rough draft letter. And should I send it to the entire board, Mr. Chairman, or just send it to you for review?
No, you can send that.
Send it to everybody
I will try to get that to you by
tomorrow.
Wednesday.
You had nothing to do, you're semi-retired.
Are you staying in
I'm
this
fully retired.
hemisphere for
I'm
a week?
in Rhode Island tomorrow, but I'm in
Oh,
Massachusetts
so you're
Wednesday.
going out of the country?
He's leaving, he's going into,
Going to Seattle?
I don't know
he's going to Bloomberg, that's what he's going.
if the,
We all set?
Gonna visit that little condo in Newport, you know,
Yeah.
all the rocks in front of it? That's all I have on the agenda for this evening.
okay.
So, let me just get, on the Form A plans, does somebody notify the town clerk within 21 days that it's,
I will make sure
That
that
it's
that is,
denied.
that is done.
and I don't know if that's a process that gets done.
I think just on our letterhead that on January 12th, the planning board voted unanimously to deny the plan and
Yep.
a brief explanation why.
And does she send that to the applicant?
I don't know if they have to be
I don't think
notified.
they have to be I think the town clerk just needs to say denied or something. I don't
Mhm.
even know if they need a reason, but I do think they have to receive it
They
within
have to get
21 days.
They have to
Right.
get confirmation either way.
I think the one we just kiboshed also definitely should be recorded.
That's the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know when the 21 days was up on that. Probably been up already.
We're probably close.
Well, he withdrew it last time.
Can you withdraw that? Didn't we get a letter from Charlie about that?
Either that or get it from Whitten.
No, that was, no, I'm sorry, his letter was about extensions. You can withdraw it
He withdrew it and refiled the plan
and
Within the
refile
last-
another plan, but,
within the last week.
yeah, but you can't extend that.
can't,
We
can't.
can't extend to 21 days, we have to act,
No, right.
yeah.
No, we've acted. Is there a time frame as to rendering a decision, or?
Well, language is a little fuzzy, and I never
Well,
had to look at the cases.
typically, when we, on a Form C, we have X amount of days after the vote to render a written decision.
Yeah. But what it says is, and it's what's not, if the board fails to act or fails to notify the clerk and the person submitting the plan within 21 days after its submission, it's deemed approved.
Okay, now, let's take that one step further on the Hathaway one. We denied it. We notified the clerk dropped the ball.
Did we notify the clerk?
It was in our minutes,
You haven't submitted the minutes, though.
it's recorded.
You haven't submitted the minutes.
Dave was putting together our minutes.
Hey, can we buy a tape recorder?
It wouldn't make any difference, somebody still has to listen to it, just like they have to listen to the,
They gotta transcribe the tape or his disc, one or the
Right.
other.
You can do it, if you want to take one
And the
person
answer
here, make
is-
it their job to take an iPad. As you're taking the minutes, take your minutes and
We-
submit it that way.
We don't use modern conveniences, right, Mike? We're still using flippers.
Well, for the
I don't
select,
type fast enough
well,
to do it.
sure you do. For the selectmen's meeting, because, remember, you don't have to put in that, when you do minutes, all you do
it
is.
doesn't
you
have to
bring-
be verbatim.
You bring up what the subject is. You don't have to go back and forth, all the back and forth. You put down what the subject is and then what the vote was. And the explanation, and that's it. We do the executive session, I do the executive sessions for the board. When the executive session ends, 2 minutes later, Janet Wilson has the minutes. It's done.
Printed.
So do we need a motion to designate the clerk as our?
Well, the clerk automatically is anyways.
I don't have the tool.
I will rent you one.
How many words a minute you type, Mike?
18.
How many
That's good
mistakes?
enough.
No mistakes.
See, I can type 35 words a minute with 40
Yeah,
mistakes.
but see, the self-correct, so you're a hero anyways.
18 words a minute.
Yeah, but self-correct can be dangerous, sometimes it comes up with the wrong word.
Spell check.
Yeah, it
And
does.
a few laughs at some of my minutes that I've written, saying, oh,
So,
when you spell the word wrong completely, it's a jump ball as to what you get. And
Well, you add to your dictionary, you can be very creative.
Yes, you can.
Technology's a wonderful thing, Michael.
It's kind of like watching a hockey game on closed caption.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
never know what they're gonna say.
I mean, the other possibility is, like Kelly does the finance committee, she goes through all their meetings. She takes shorthand and then converts it, so if they get someone in here to replace Brenda's position, that person can adjust the hours so they can come in that once every 2 weeks and be at the meeting and take the minutes.
or if we just have somebody in the office, we can give them the recording and they can,
But I'm just saying, either way, there's a way around this. The answer is no, we can't do it. The answer is, there's a way to do it, let's figure it out. I mean, someone went up, looked at the town website and saw 3 sets of minutes on file for the planning board for a whole year, a whole year. They'd be yelling
Well,
and
where'd they
screaming
go?
at
Because
everybody.
we've approved more, where do they go from there?
They obviously haven't been sent to the clerk's office because they're not on file. At least not on the website. They haven't been taken and moved over. Question is to find out whether they're going to the clerk's office and not going up to Matt to get, put on the site.
Well, with that, so we don't make too long a meeting for somebody to listen to,
Entertain a motion to adjourn?
I would.
Thought you were aiming in that direction.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yep.
Aye. Opposed, meeting adjourned at 8:17.
what is it?
And my papers for running for